And we are back with another morning roast edition of the Black with No Cream podcast, where every Wednesday morning we deep dive into creative topics with the goal of giving you a daily dose of motivation and inspiration. I'm your host, Ben Haggerty, aka Ben Real vs. World, and this is my co-host, David Malave. What is going on, Dave?
Well, people who aren't listening just want y'all to know that, or aren't watching, I just want you to know that Ben took his glasses off for no reason
and threw them over the camera
and wanted to look like a movie star. So,
and I think it was pretty good.
I think it was awful.
Today's topic is work-life balance, also known as balancing work and life. Me and Dave argued about this titling. What's your reasoning? Because I wanted to call it balancing work life.
Because if the idea is that you're balancing work and life, which are two separate things, and when you say balancing work life, it just means like it's only talking about work life. You're not talking about life.
Right.
So it's work, life, balance.
And to me, what I was thinking of is work is life. Like ball is life. So you could just say balancing work life, because work is life. No. So anyway, personal goal that I had for 2020 was to make my work-life balance better and try to have a personal life outside of this shit. And so we had talked, the Discord asked a question last week. We answered it in the last week's morning roast. And I thought it was really interesting, the topic, so we wanted to dive into it a little bit deeper. So we'll get to that. But if this is your first time tuning to the podcast, you are probably wondering,
what the fuck is Black with No Cream?
Great question. Black with No Cream is the illest educational resource for content creators fueled by caffeine. Or at least I take my coffee black with no cream, but you can drink or not drink whatever caffeine you fuck with and still be a part of our community. We have thousands of members from all around the world working together by sharing content, asking for feedback, passing tips and tricks along to one another with the goal of pushing each other to become the best motherfucking content creators on earth. And you can join our private group if you want to by going to bwnc.com/join. We would love to fucking have you. Please join. And without further ado, I bring to you this week's morning roast episode and the second most epic podcast intro ever created right motherfucking now. Welcome to the morning roast, a place where you will get the most info from a deep dive into the topics that really need life with your host Ben and Dave, coming to you live today. Grab your cup of joe and take some fucking notes, you bitch. Yo, we're back now. If anyone's listening and you live in Miami, I'll be there soon. By the time this drops, it'll be... Actually, I think my flight leaves the morning that this drops, so I'll be here for 2 more days. If anyone's here, DM me and say what's happening. Maybe we can kick it. Probably not, though, because it sounds like it's going to be a busy-ass week.
Yeah, you're going to say that and then not have no time, and then people will be like, what the fuck? You told me to hit you up.
I know. It's the thought that counts. I think last week, we ended last week's episode and got kind of into this. We had a good question from the Discord. Shout out to anyone that's in the Discord that asks questions every week. But it was cool because it was talking about like the idea of his example. What was his example?
So basically he has this trip that he goes with his friends yearly, but he already booked a job and he's conflicted because he knows he should be in like grind mode and be taking every job that comes to him at this point. Yeah. But also this is like a trip that he really wants to go on and cares about the time, and he doesn't even like the client that much anyway, so he was asking like what he should do. Right.
Which I think a lot of people get into those situations, and even in our giving of advice, we're like, trust me, if it's we value family time over any job, obviously, but then that's definitely not true, because there's so many times I've given up, and in that, you go listen to the last episode because you can hear the example I gave from my situation. But I think there's multiple times where it's come up where you're like, shit. Like I even remember, maybe it was 2 years ago, which is crazy how this ended up working out, and I'm glad that I went. But I remember, like this last winter for a holiday, I went home and stayed a very long time. The longest time I've ever stayed home since I moved to LA. It was important to me to go hang out with my family and see everyone and stay long enough, because every time I go home, it's for like, a week and a half, and you feel like you see do all the family shit and all that stuff, and then you don't even have time to enjoy where you're from or something because you were always on the go. So it's that started, and I remember having booked my flight, I think, to go to Iowa for a holiday. And then last minute TDE hit me and wanted me to do their Christmas, they do a Christmas in the Hood thing. And so they were giving away, I don't know what's going on with my voice. Sorry about that if I cough a million times this podcast. But they give away all these Christmas gifts, and people can bring a toy to get into a festival, and all the artists perform. And so I went to shoot that, but I had to cancel my flight and and buy another flight. Or I remember waiting a long time to purchase a flight, something that ended up costing me a ton of money.
That wasn't this last Christmas. It was the one before that.
I think it was 2 or maybe even 3 Christmases ago.
Okay.
Fuck. Yeah, I think it was 3 Christmases ago. But anyway, it was like, hey, Ben, can you do this? And I knew something would happen around the end of the year. And I always kind of put this on myself, like whenever we go on trips or whenever I book things for out of state that's for leisure, it's always the hardest thing for me because I never want to book a flight well in advance when the flights are usually really cheap, because I'm always like, who knows where I'll be at that time. So for instance, bachelor parties and things like that, like my friends will all be locking in their flights 6 months in advance. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I would love to go, but every time those types of things roll around, I always have to tell my friends, yo, just count on me not being there. And if I do get to come there, I'll just like sleep on the floor and buy all the alcohol or whatever, like make up my cost and whatever you guys pay for an Airbnb and shit. And then I have to pay the toll on a flight, which sucks. So that happened with this trip to Iowa, and I remember knowing something was going to come, so I waited till the last minute. And then when I had to buy my flights, it was like dumb expensive, and then I had to pay like a fee to move it because TDE wanted me to come on that day. I don't even think I got paid for that shit. Like I don't even know if they paid me for it, but was it worth it to do it? Yeah, it was cool because I got to shoot and be a part of that. It's like a historical moment and whatnot. I remember having to come home, and I went straight into editing, and I was like editing while I was home, and everyone wanted to do stuff, and I was like, it was so important for me to get this recap video, and the communication with TDU was trash, and like we never ended up getting the video to come together because the communication wasn't good from the jump, and the video we ended up doing was just a bunch of like loose ends that never got tied up before we shot, and it was just kind of a shit show, and the footage was all different and nothing matched, whatever. But I remember spending so much time at home, and that was kind of like the last straw for me, was that because I was so frustrated that I just came home and spent like 2.5 days cutting a video when I had planned to like see my family and friends, and I just blew them off. Or I'd be sitting in the kitchen and my family's like trying to have conversations with me, and I'm just like not even there. That shit bummed me out. Do I wish I would have gone back and not have done that job and have gone and committed to an earlier flight to enjoy my family time? Yeah, I wish that. But then what's crazy about that whole thing is that that those photos ended up becoming used in Rihanna's new book, which is insane. So if I would have just gone home and enjoyed a couple extra days with my family, which would have been awesome, I would have never gotten that job opportunity, which is, I didn't even know that was an opportunity at the time, but it then 2 years later or whatever it was turned into like having a 2-page spread in her book, and was one of like 15 other photographers besides her personal person that got photos in that book. So it's crazy how that shit comes full circle, and you try to decide like, well, what's more, you know what I mean? Like, but when we're in this freelance game, it's really hard to like know when to put your foot down on certain things. You have to like decide the value. You have to understand if it's gonna like create longevity, if it's gonna, we talked about this a little bit towards the end of that podcast too, but like when is it right to quit or not do a job? You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. It's interesting. This is a long-winded story to explain all that shit. Sorry about that.
No, yeah, I agree. I think for that, I mean, it depends on your situation. For that, it's like, well, the question that came up was, the guy was like, his name's Nick. Shout out Nick.
What are we talking about? Oh, Nick,
the guy who asked the question.
Yeah.
In his situation, he was saying that he's like, yo, I don't even, the client's already a headache, and he's like, it's not even that good money. It's not even gonna pay my bills. You know what I mean? And so then it's all situation based. Because for that situation, it's like, cool. The process I would go through is, one is what I'm passing up, like with my family, friends, or whatever. Is this something that like I'm missing out? Like this is something that I'm gonna care about these memories. You know what I mean? Are we just going to like the bars and or is this like a trip that I'm gonna miss out on and memories that I won't be able to call back on? You know what I mean?
Right.
I always put those first.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The what's that shit called? I can't think of the words. The things that are just unreplaceable. You can't
replace those. You know what I mean? They're going to a concert, and there's probably like 5 more concerts this year. I'll just go there later. Like, that type of stuff matters. But also, it's like the job. Like, just if is not like not doing this job gonna like mess up my relationship with this person. Sometimes people offer you an opportunity and that's like they're only gonna offer it to you once.
Right.
That's what sucks about freelancers. Sometimes when people put their hand out and they're like, yo, I really want you to come on this, like you oftentimes have to jump on it because that's what solidifies the relationship.
Right.
Because once they go to someone else, like they're like, oh, that this other person was ready for me. And then sometimes they'll come back and that's fine, but that's something to consider. Another thing is like, is this going to change something for me, you know?
Yeah.
And I think like the issue what he brought up was like, should I always be working, but I also care about the family? And that's where I really have tried to find the balance, is because I try to plan things where, for example, like January I came home from vacation, right? And it's like, and I told myself, I'm not doing anything but working for the next month. And then me and my girlfriend planned for her to come to LA. That's 2 weekends from now, right? And so my sights have been on, I'll have fun there for those 3 days, and I'm working all the way until then.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've kind of planned my life here that way as well, where it's like, there's pockets of time where I'm just only work. And I'm not even going out. I'm not hanging out really. I'm just like, we work here 6 days a week, or I got jobs and I'm just taking Sunday off. But then I know that in a month, there's a trip I plan with some friends. We're going to do something awesome, or I'm going to go see my family. You know what I mean? Or I'm planning something to look forward to. And that's how I've at least found work-life balance, is trying to figure out how you always have something to look forward to, and times where you're going to take some time off to just cut loose and just not think about work. And then you're going to have enough time that you are focused on work to like make progress. Because I think the issue is when work-life balance can get too far, where it's like, okay, now every Saturday and Friday I'm going to go and do something with my friends, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, that is time that you could be grinding. So it's hard to figure it out. I think it's like, that's why I try to string together, like, if I can string together like a month and a half or a month of like solid work where I'm really grinding, then of course I'm gonna take those 4 or 5 days, like for 4th of July, to my friends fly in and we go get a boat, or we, you know what I mean, we get a house and we go to the beach 2 days in a row, or whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or okay, I'm gonna go visit my family at the beach at home, so let me just grind this whole month, so then when that comes, I'll cut loose and no one's talking to me. I won't talk to you. I am not gonna answer any emails. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. It's
and
like,
that's how at least I found it, because I even tell myself I need a little more balance, like in the week, because we'll work here like literally all day, 6 days a week, and then I'll be sitting here like, man, I literally go home and I like lay in bed for 2 hours, and then it's still working on my personal stuff after Black with No Cream, and then I go to bed and wake up, go to the gym, and I'm here, and we're working all day, and it's over and over, and it shit gets tiring.
Yeah, it's exhausting. It's like, I think what goes back to what's an interesting like debate is knowing when you're at a position to say no, right? Like we always say yes till you can say no. And like for Nick's example, saying, oh, I already don't fuck with this client. Like this client's already a headache, right? So just to put that out there, but also bag. Do I go get the bag and deal with the shitty client and miss out on a great opportunity with my friends, or do I cancel on the client? And you know what I mean? And the hard part about it is like, it's easy to be like, yeah, well, they're already a headache, so that's a red flag that you should, like, it's probably fine. If you probably don't have any desire to work with that person ever again, right?
That's like in your checkbook. You're like, okay, that, you know what I mean?
But
now that's a pro of this side.
But the argument is like say, so like for my example with TD, shout out to TD, love those motherfuckers to death, but their motto is hustle like they're broke, and they do that shit where in this case it was like, hey, we need to have a video, but there was no concise plan, and then it was like, we need to hire you to shoot this and blah, blah, blah. We need to get a team together, and they just like Lincoln log shit. And I was already like, that was the red flag to me. I was like, ugh, like it's already, this doesn't sound like it's going to work. You know what I mean? Like the idea doesn't sound like it's going to work. So I can either take the risk and go and do something and try to piece it together, and it might not work, or I just skip it because I already know the red flag's already there. This project's kind of in the trash can already before it got shelved. You know what I mean? And if I would have just gone with those cues of it being a red flag or that client being shitty, not that they were being shitty, but like in his case, it's like the client may be shitty, but if you go to that, who knows how that can affect your, like, who knows what the Rihanna shit turns up to be moving forward. You know what I mean? Like, that's cool that I have photos in her book now, but if I would have red flagged the job as like, it's kind of isn't produced well, like, I don't think I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? You always go back and forth on those.
That's different. But, you know, in that case, it was like, okay, this is TDE. Like, we know who we're working with here. Now, if you were doing a video and it was like you had booked a gig with, name any other type of gig that's not Kendrick Lamar performing with Rihanna, you know what I mean? Like, that's obviously, like, that makes sense. Some other people who have that opportunity, they'd be like, they'd move anything for it.
Right.
And I think it's situate. You know, it comes down to the opportunity.
But what is that? What is that equivalent for someone else that isn't in the
Well, yeah,
opportunity?
I think it's tough because it's like, we're always talking about, you know, to get to move up, you have to take every possible opportunity that comes to you because you literally never know what's going to turn out of it. So Nick, that client, they could have been a headache, but then turns out he pulls up and they're actually great. Or maybe he's talking to the wrong person. And then he creates a great video, and now they're like, "Oh, that's awesome! You know what? We love you to do this." Or they recommend him to someone else, and then it turns into 3 more jobs or something.
Right.
You can't see that on the front of the book cover.
Right.
So that's what the struggle is you're like playing like, you know, this door, and you don't know what's behind.
Right.
And you want to take everything. I think what it comes down to is like sometimes it's not worth it for those big moments that matter with your family and friends. And sometimes it's also like, let's say you just work 4 jobs in a row.
Right.
Like you've been working client work nonstop for 2 months, as you say, right? And then another client hits your door or hits your email and was like, "We want you to do this," and you're like, you're so tired, you're beat up, you haven't slept, you haven't been working out, you haven't been eating correct or whatever it is, and then you're like, do I hop right back into the next project that's going to take me 2 weeks or whatever? And then that's when you learn, like, is it okay for me to just say no to this one?
Right. Yeah, like, I guess it's like when is it okay to?
Yeah. You gotta know when, one, are you jeopardizing like your family? Are you jeopardizing memories with your family and friends? Are you like pushing yourself too far where you're not even having fun? You're not even enjoying what you're doing? Because at that point, what's worth it? You're not even enjoying what you're doing, or you're not like being fulfilled by your work. You know what I mean? I think but obviously there's a difference between work-life balance and like, I'm gonna always be doing shit for me. Like I'm always gonna have fun every week, which always eats into stuff. Well, like how productive you can be, because you're working 4 days and then you're like, oh, I'm taking these 3 days off, and then you're working 4 days. Right. It's like going to the gym and you're like, you work out 4 days, but then on the weekends, if you go out and start drinking and you're eating whatever, then on Monday you get back and you're in the same spot.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like to really move, you gotta string together like weeks and weeks, and that's how I feel here. Is like the way I'm productive is trying to string together like 4 or 5 weeks straight of working. And then there's a reward at the end, like boom, I'm gonna take those 5 days and I'm gonna go do whatever I want. You know what I mean? Right. And string together, and that's how I find balance, at least. But
when I moved out here, I never like looked forward to like, I don't remember ever being able to control my schedule, right? Like it's interesting now talking about it from this standpoint, because it's like I'm in a position now to be able to control the yes and no's. And when I moved here, and for the first several years, until honestly like this last year and a half or whatever it is, it's like I always had to look at it like I had and moved here with the intention of sacrificing a lot of shit, like sacrificing my relationship in the sense of it wasn't easy to be in a long-term relationship with Lauren, and then to not live with her and to sit here and do all that shit, to sleep with fucking 3 people, 4 people in a room sometimes, and not actually get good sleep, have minimal hours of sleep. It was like when I got here, the idea of keeping the door open was the only thing that mattered to me, and it was trying to figure out what can I. It wasn't even like, what can I say no to? I didn't have a position to say, you know what I mean? There was no options. I couldn't have, because if I would have said no to any of those, then I was just here to hang out.
Yeah, the idea is but you could have said no, but you didn't. But
if I would have said no, my life wouldn't be what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I would have said no to, if I think about every single job that I did and how it connected dots to get me here, that if I would have chose to take a day off on that day specifically, if I would have taken a day off on this day specifically, that's crazy. It's actually crazy to think of like how that could have changed.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And then you also wonder if maybe that it wouldn't have been this path, but you would have got there this way.
Probably, but I know deep down in my heart that if I would have came here with that, it would have never happened. Yeah. Like I literally sat, like, it's crazy. I'm glad that we focus on saying like, oh, yo, these are hours to go to the gym. Like right now, what we're trying to build, this creative bubble, and being in here and putting in 6 days a week. Like we're literally putting in 6 days a week right now. I feel like consistently our schedule, this is like us taking full advantage of days and hours and trying to put it in. But if we didn't, like before, I never thought of, there was no gym time. I could give 2 fucks less about that. I owned MLB TV and I stopped watching. Balance. Yeah, I stopped watching all Yankees games, which I would dedicate like 3 hours to every game that they play, and they play multiple games a week. I'd sit there and do all this shit before I moved here, and I was like, scratch that. It became completely unhealthy. Well, to an extent, you know what I mean? But like there was I had no disregard for what I was eating. I had no disregard for how many hours I was sleeping. Honestly, it was like we prided ourselves on being able to do 18-hour days or 21-hour days on set or some crazy shit. But it was like, do this. All right, now we have to go over here. All right, cool. And jump on it. And my only break was holiday for 6-7 days. You know what I mean?
Right.
Go home.
Yeah, I think, but we've only been talking about work-life balance in the sense of like, do I pass up a job to do something? Which is like work-life balance comes in different forms. You know what I mean? Work-life balance is we've decided we're leaving here at 7 no matter what because we need 4 hours to ourselves.
Right.
We've decided that we're coming in at 9 because we need from 7 to 9 to work out. We've decided Sunday we're not working on Sunday, and we barely even talk on Sundays because I'm like we see each other all week.
Right.
So Sunday, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Saturday we're leaving at 5 because we all want to do something. Like you got to work, hang with Lauren. I want to do stuff with my friends.
Right.
That's all forms of work-life balance.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's more than just like taking time off. It's
That's
like,
us, Matt.
It's those guidelines you put on yourself when you're
Exactly.
like, between here and here, I'm working my ass off.
Right.
And then I'm giving myself time so I don't go insane.
And that's calculated off of our beta test from this entire last year. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we're like, oh, okay, cool. If we do this and we move this around, this should be our time to be most optimized, which works well for us. And then we take those advantage of all of our hours for whatever we personally want to develop or focus on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is great. That shit, like, it's just another level of being able to optimize your day. And I think that's what it all comes down to. I remember like starting to look at when I physically wrote down every hour of the day and started like marking out like where those times went. You know what I mean? And I was realizing how much time I was wasting coming. And even now, it's still a problem now. We go home at 7 and then I may hang out and watch whatever. Me and Lauren will chill. Most of the time we just fill it with Netflix and shit. And we'll just watch TV and eat dinner or whatever and then hang out till like 10 o'clock and then she'll fall asleep. And the problem is that I know is if I can't train myself to go to bed at that time, then I'm just wasting more hours. And when I wrote all that shit down, it made me realize it. You know what I mean? And then trying to put a plan in place that solves that problem to activate on those hours. That's what balanced better for me, or it felt better for me to be able to be like, oh, cool. I physically need 6 to 7 hours of sleep. So if I fall asleep at this time, that'll allow me to get up at 5. And then at 5, I can do this X, Y, Z. And then I can get to the office at 9 and we can complete this from 9 to 7. And then I know for sure that I maxed out all those hours. And then when I hate it. I hate it when I start finding myself being like, oh, fuck, I need to watch Aaron Hernandez. And then I stay up and watch 2.5 episodes that are an hour or something long, and all of a sudden I'm up till 1 a.m, and then I start fucking up my schedule. And that shit drives me crazy. But that's on me to figure out how to handle those hours that I've set for specific things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To balance those hours to be optimized, because my ultimate goal is to make sure I'm performing my best while I'm here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like I learned that, learned that I need to be up at 5:30. And it even took beta testing this whole month.
Mm-hmm.
I got to be up at 5:30 so I have enough time to boot up, get my full workout in, eat, get changed, shower, have a second, and skate here to the office, be here at 9.
Right.
That's through process. That allows me to do everything so that when I come home, I have time to do other stuff, because sometimes I have work that I can do on the side. So if I work here till 7, what sucks is if I work from here till 7, I work at home on my own shift from 7 to 11, and I'm going straight to bed and doing it over again. There's no time for me. So It's like, that's why Sunday's important. You know what I mean? But also, going back to the trip thing, I was thinking about it. I was like, cool. My dad texted me last week and he's like, yo, your sister and your brother are graduating on back-to-back weekends in May.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when I'm probably gonna have to book that flight soon. And it's like, if anything's offered to me in that week, I'm probably turning it down.
Right.
What happens if it's a huge ass opportunity? Like if it's something that doesn't come around, then do I miss my brother graduating from high school and my sister graduating from college in the same week? That matters.
Right.
With all my family. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty interesting case, because it's like, likely I'm going to turn both those down. Because do
Yeah.
I want to see my brother graduate from high school and my sister graduate from college? Probably. Just because it matters to me. You know what I
remember being at Riveting, editing, and FaceTiming with my family when my brother walked across the stage in high school. And the shit was like, those are the times where you're like, fuck. You know what I mean? But I literally couldn't afford it. Couldn't even afford to go home because I was trying to figure out what the fuck I was doing. I was sleeping on an air mattress.
Yeah, there's limits. There's limits to it.
Yeah, and it was like, God, but you hate that shit. And then
Yeah.
for him to go and become a cop, like my parents are like, yo, he's graduating. Like I would love to have flown in and surprised everyone, but I'm like, that's 2 full days even if I flew in, saw it, and flew back the next morning, that's just two entire days.
It's tougher for you, like how you live, like where.
Yeah,
you
the
live.
airport sucks ass.
The whole travel shit. It's opposed to just like popping in and 20-minute Uber to your house. And
yeah, that's mad clutch.
Yeah.
I fucking wish that would happen in Iowa. That'd be so dope. But like that shit for sure sucks. Like not being able to see it, and then you're like, then you have to try to decide on a scale level, like how important is this? Like how do you determine the value as far as like the job, right?
Yeah.
Like when does it
tough.
become more important? Yeah, it sucks.
I think
to
you
miss
feel
your
it.
family.
You feel it though.
Yeah.
Like a lot of this is feeling.
Yeah.
Like you feel it when it's like that thing that you don't want to miss on the life part. Mm-hmm. Like you can feel that. Like, damn, this would fucking suck if I miss this.
Right.
That's when if you have that feeling. If it's just like, then it's probably not important enough. Get that opportunity, get that bag, or make that relationship. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if it's that thing where it's like your stomach's gonna hurt to turn that down, then it's probably something you probably want to consider not turning down. You know what I mean? It's a feeling, and I think that. You just got to like trust yourself, I think, because you got to trust yourself in your gut too with the family stuff. Because like you said back in the last episode, you talked about how you passed up like a big bachelor opportunity with all your friends, and the money didn't even turn out making make sense. The video didn't even turn out making make sense, and you missed on that your friends still talk about to this day.
Right. And
you probably had a feeling where you're like, damn, this would really, but you're in a different mindset.
Right.
But that feeling in your stomach, as much as you should trust your gut on the taking the job, like trust that gut taking the family thing too, I think.
Yeah, of course.
I also think like one thing I was coming into this year with the balance part is like taking, I feel like even last year, it's different because I work here with Black with No Cream so much, but it's like how much further I would be if I did say yes to like everything last year that was offered to me, because I said no to a lot of stuff for different reasons.
Oh yeah, if we did that, this shit we can't do this. Like that's the main reason we thank you all at Patreon, because you at least started with us being able to afford this goddamn rent. But what's funny as fuck is this could be the biggest mistake I've ever made, the biggest mistake you've ever made, trying to invest our time to build this out and see if this can become a company. Because if it fails, we just wasted so much time, especially off a high of like touring with B and whatever and all that shit, coming off that high and then just literally avoiding jobs. Like I've tried to avoid as many jobs as possible. You've tried to avoid jobs, just the sole fact of like making it known that you exist here, right? Yeah. Because we have no income to pay for our time here. Which is funny because if you go clock in, you go get a job tomorrow at the fucking laundromat or whatever, your job is to put loads of laundry in and shit, whatever. They're gonna give you an hourly wage, and you know that you're leaving there with fucking your rent and a little bit of money you can put towards whatever else you care about in life, right? Yeah. Here, we don't do that yet. Everything that we made, every single dime goes back into the idea that this eventually could be something that hopefully pays bills and can allow us to full-time really give a shit, which we do naturally anyway right now, which is hilarious. Like we're doing a reverse engineer of this where
we're in a startup phase. This is
we're in a super startup phase, but it started as literally just like an idea of like, oh, this could be fun, like I'll just see if I can help people. And then it's like, now I really feel like we gotta help people because we're deep in this shit. But it's funny, like even we finished an interview today and the homie was like, oh, so like what are you working on next? Is it like just this? And I'm like, this is a full-time, literally all we do in life right now. Like it's impossible to really micromanage other jobs because of how much time this takes up, energy, like mental exhaustion, all this shit, to make this thing become a thing. And then you always think about it, like say we don't walk away with the check at the end of the month or whatever. We're in business startup mode, but like before it was like, all right, we're just here, we're working, we're putting in time, we know that this is growing, the numbers of podcasts are starting to grow, and you're like, man, this is cool. But then you're like, would it have been cooler if I would have jumped on this job, or if I would have been shooting all these videos that people asked me to do and all over the country, or if I would have taken this role and this, and like, I'm like, damn, because I could really just continue and build a regular life as a director, creator, filmmaker, whatever, but purposely I'm choosing not to do that. And then you always wonder, am I making the right choice? Am I not? Obviously, we get the messages from the people. We know that this is helpful as fuck, which is awesome. But you always look at it like compared to like any of these YouTubers we watch, and we're like, damn, they fucking, all they do is talk about taking shits outside and it's funny, and they get fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars every month because people just go crazy and they tour and they do all these things. And it's like, if I just switched up the content, stop trying to help people with filmmaking or whatever, or
put the
photography,
same energy into a YouTuber.
If I put energy into that and just make fucking toy reviews, I'd be the richest person in America, because people, it's crazy. I
feel like we've reflected, and we, as much as we think that sometimes in down times, we have realized that we know why. Like, we literally would not be doing this if we didn't fucking love it and felt purpose in it, because we put so much work into this. So we know that's it's an interesting conversation though.
It is.
That's kind of like the topic we wanted to talk about at one point, where it was like we wanted to do one called I want to quit every day.
Yeah, I want to quit every day.
Because this is an interesting topic to me, because I feel like people deal with this where it's like sometimes when you're in this shit, you're just banging your head against a wall, right? And that's why it's interesting to listen to these podcasts of, you know, successful startups and whatever it is, because it's like to be successful, there's so many times like of these successful companies, they just like are in these years of periods where nothing is working.
It's literally
like,
going backwards.
It looks like
the
company's going to die. You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you fight through that? And how do you like, and there's definitely no work-life balance in those stories. Like when you really have a company with like where they have costs and they're trying to create products and so they have to make money because they have people that are hired.
Right.
You know, they don't have 2 people, like 6 people that are willing to work for free to make something happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then there is no work-life balance in that moment because you got to make that shit happen, you know?
It's crazy,
But
man.
also we could just drive ourselves crazy by working here all day.
Well,
like,
and we're gonna. I mean, that had to have happened at the fucking
this is
garage where
work-life
Steve
balance.
Jobs and all those dudes were mounting computers and trying to come up with ideas and make custom fonts and shit. Like everyone, it's part of it. And I think the payout, the thing that's funny too is when I get on, like say I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna go do a job tomorrow and I'm just gonna do it. Or you're like, oh, I'm gonna go do a job, whatever. We do that every once in a while. I'm gonna go do this job. And then when I'm there, I'm like, I fucking cannot wait. Why can't I just record podcasts every day? I don't want to deal with this shit, or I don't want to deal with this client not knowing what they want, or I don't want to deal with, you know what I mean? All the shit that comes up on those days where you realize, damn, I've been standing here for way too long. Like they told me it was going to be 4 hours and it ended up being 12 and I only got paid for 4. Fuck. You know what I mean? Like those things happen where I always miss this. But then when we're in here, it's such a slow process to all the things that we're doing and executing that you almost forget that you're making massive progress. You just don't see the progress because we live in it every day.
Yeah, that's facts.
You know what I mean? But it's the small rewards that constantly happen to us where we're like, there's something here. Like this makes sense that we invest time into this shit.
Well, you know what? Like when I went home and then I went to Puerto Rico for 2 weeks, like, and I didn't think about work once, literally not 1 second. Like if I didn't have that, I would not have the drive. Like I've been on fire since I came back. Right. I've been telling Ben, haven't drank in like 15 days. Yep. Consider that a fucking win. You know what I mean? Not drinking, turning down, going out. Been getting up at 5:30. Been working from the minute I wake up till I go to bed. Yep. And that's because I took those 2 weeks to recharge, and I really just enjoyed myself. I enjoyed time with my family. I fucking drank what I wanted, ate what I wanted, went to beaches, just kicked it. You know what I mean?
That's why it's cool.
And that's the balance. And like, you're going to Hawaii in 2 weeks, and if someone called you up and said, "Yo, we got to do this job," and you and Lauren have been dreaming about this vacation for 2 years, you'd be crazy as fuck to take the job.
Yeah, of course.
Unless they're like, yo, unless you're like, yo, fucking, well, here's $1 million. And we're like, okay, we'll go to Hawaii in 2 months. Let's take this job. You know what I mean? But like, other than that,
put that shit on contract. Like, show me the fucking half bag for right now, and then the next half later.
50% deposit up front.
Please wire that motherfucker. I also think like it's cool when you see, like when we went with Dutch Bros, we went up to Portland and Sacramento, and you get to see Kocha. And what's so cool about that is like they obviously have they give their employees time to take vacation, whatever. You get like, I don't know, what's real people's jobs like? Like you get like 2 weeks.
Well, it depends. You get like you might get 10 days paid leave, and then you can have more, but you're not paid.
So like a lot of these people, whatever, they work the job, they have those days and some people use those for 6 days. Some people have kids, whatever the fuck, and then as a way to like show and build team morale, they take these people to an event and put on like a real fun time for them. And I feel like you see that within different cultures of companies, and it's so crucial. Like if we had it our way, we would all be going to Hawaii. You know what I mean? What's a week in Hawaii for Black Window Cream as a reset, as like a team building thing, as a blah blah blah, you know what I mean?
Bro, I was just thinking this, not the Hawaii part, but I was literally thinking this the other day. I was like, we should plan. I love how sometimes we just talk about Black Window Cream shit and people listen, but like but it goes to anyone. Like I was thinking, we work together like all day every day, and by the time Sunday comes around, I don't want to see you.
The only thing we do is send each other memes or funny shit on
funny
Complex.
Shit, and that's it. And you know what I mean? And then sometimes if it's business shit, we're like, I'll see you on Monday. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's like we don't even hang out that much outside anymore because of how hard we work. And it's like it's productive for us to plan time to fucking just chill and hang out. Or the interns to like, let's go out and get drinks. Let's go do something, because that resets us. That's a balance between I'm only seeing you and we're working hard as fuck. So it's like it's not like we're always shooting the shit. We're having fun in the office. We wouldn't work together if we didn't. But like there's a balance there. Like if you're working with someone so long, like I think it's important to like go do life shit with those people. You know what I mean? Like take time off and be like, yo, we're not thinking about work today. Let's just go kick it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And like that allows you to work together and like.
Yeah, and that's like tour for us. Like we'd sit there, work, and then the next day we go at least try to see some shit in Rome.
Yeah, that's why tour is awesome because you get both. You can have both right back to back. You can be working your ass up till 4 and then wake up and be like, all right, let's go do some.
Yeah, exactly. Shit, you know and it's like you don't have to deal with work shit. There's
the other
like,
stuff because you just transported places.
It's so crucial. We're talking way too much. Hopefully this has made any sense. I have no idea.
This is a straight conversation.
I was coughing up a lung the whole fucking first half of this bitch. Sorry guys. No, I think, it was a solid topic. I'm glad we got to talk on it. Shout out to Nick for poising it and making an entire episode
shout out to Nick. Also, live your life, people. That's right. That's the motto. But also,
ask people that know you best and understand what your goals are. Because the other problem is when you ask people that don't understand what your goals are, they're going to give you a leaning towards the obvious. And they don't understand the difference. So, for example,
a lot of people in if they don't understand being a hustler, a freelancer, independent creator, independent contractor, like people don't understand.
Exactly.
It's not like, because that's what I'm always jealous of. Sorry to go on a tangent again. I'm always jealous because like you talk about booking a flight in advance. People with real jobs, they can be like, yo, I'm going to Hawaii on May 15th because Friday I'm off.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Sucks.
But for us, it's like May 12th. Fucking Chris Brown or whoever could be like, you want to do this? And then, I have this flight booked.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
that's the worst part.
It's the worst, but
I know. Anyway, as y'all know, we always end our morning roast with the question of the day from our Patreon community. So if you want a chance to have your question answered on the podcast, you can sign up now at jointhehomies.com and ask your question just like Nick did. That turned into a whole morning roast. A long one too, 40 minutes. Goddamn. Who wrote the question of the day? Neutral P. He said, I see myself as a really nice person in general and really don't like causing complications. Now, when it comes to the business aspect, I feel like my niceness gets taken advantage of. I mean, I never want to be a rude person and will rarely ever complain about anything. So does there come a point where you should be firm with clients? For example, clients not replying to emails, messages, clients not paying enough, clients not paying on time. I'm sure you've had this happen to you before. Thanks, man. Great question. Love this. Shout out to you for being a good person first and foremost. That's not easy to do, but there are people out there that are like you, and I consider myself like you too, because I think that's the most crucial thing. You build really good relationships for being nice. Sometimes people take advantage of that niceness and use that against you, and that's when it becomes problematic. And I absolutely think that you should always put your foot down and make sure that you're firm or at least addressing your feelings. So if people are fucking ignoring your emails, you have to let them know how that's actually creating a problem for communication, how it's creating a problem for the job. If people are trying not to pay enough, you just either choose to do that one low paying job and say, hey, look, I'll do this for this price right now. Next time you book me, you need to pay me twice as much because that's my rate. And if you want to do that, I'll do the job with you. But that's as far as it goes. But I'm not going to do this job right now for X amount. And then you turn around and tell me to do the next job for the exact same pay, because that's not how it's going to happen. And I think just having the ability to communicate while being nice.
Yeah, it's about being firm, but being cordial.
Exactly.
And like, that's a talent in itself. But like step up, you learn that you have to step up for yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Like people will walk over you until you until they tell you not to. Like people will always, if you're being nice and you're willing to work for X and you keep saying yes, then they're gonna keep hiring you for it because they want to pay less money.
Yeah.
Or they want to pay longer. They want to pay later.
And if you just say, hey, look, I raised my rate by $200. Would love to continue working with you. Totally understand if it's not within the budget. And then you're going to realize that they had it in the budget the whole time and you just always quoted them too low and they were cool with paying less.
Yeah, and you were so scared to send the text.
And they're like,
but then you finally send the fuck you bid and they're like, oh, cool. And you're like, oh, shit.
We got that money. All right, cool. And as a big shout out to everyone who leaves a review on this podcast on iTunes. Each review helps us, reach new creators and stuff. We like to highlight the best reviews each week and send them a pair of Black with No Cream stickers. So if you want a chance to win some stickers, you should drop a review on Apple Podcast right now. And this one goes to Paige Walker. He titled it, or she titled it, I don't know. Illest of all time. And it's 5 stars. So thank you so much. It says, learned about Black Window Cream from attending Vid Summit in LA with this dude I was networking with during a lunch break, LOL. Best 1 minute decision ever, joining the Facebook group and getting access to this podcast. A must for any creative. Y'all are goats. Fire emoji. Swag. Thank you so much, bro. We appreciate that. DM us so we can
Imagine,
get your address.
I'm going to guess Paige is a girl.
Paige may be a girl. Paige may be a guy. Either way.
You never know.
You're tight in my eye. You like that little rhyme? You like that little rhyme?
Yeah, dude, for sure.
All right, that's it for this episode of the Morning Roast. We appreciate you guys. Make sure to check out our latest podcast episode with Joe Larkin. We just dropped that on Sunday. He shoots for Diplo. Motherfucker's a legend. Has an entire production company. There's a lot you're going to learn in that one. And definitely stay tuned for this Sunday's interview with Brandy Marie King. She is an actress. She is very funny. And she has a movie review page. Sorry, something popped up on my computer. She reviews movies. So she goes to all kinds of movies. Like she just went to Jumanji and reviewed it. She just did Bad Boys and reviewed it. She gets access to red carpets and stuff. A lot of cool shit in there, especially if you're interested in that influencer content realm world. You'll learn a lot there. So new episode every single Wednesday and Sunday. We will see you in a few days. You bitch.